Hey guys, I'm Emily White. I am a freshman at Georgia Southern University. I am recording this YouTube video because I am in a class called FYE. FYE is first year experience, and there are multiple different FYEs that you could take. It's like an extended orientation class that freshmen are required to take, and it's an extended orientation slash like cool, fun, get used to college type class. My class is called What is Privilege? I mean, from the title, during this class we discussed a lot of different types of privileges, and we discussed the history of privilege. We discussed a lot of different things that have to do with privilege. Okay. So first of all, what is privilege? Privilege is an advantage that a specific person or group of people have. Like, the types of privilege that we discussed in class were socioeconomic privilege, able-bodied privilege, white privilege, Christian privilege, gender privilege, and heterosexual privilege. I will expound on all of those in a minute, but right now I'm going to tell y'all the history of privilege. Okay, I wrote it down, so I'm not babbling on to y'all. But the history of privilege is somewhat simple, yet somewhat complicated. W.E. Du Bois, which, if you don't know who W.E. Du Bois is, he is an African-American writer who wrote during the times of slavery and prejudice in America and back in the 1800s, Civil War time, about that. Anyways. So he started the idea of privilege when he wrote an article back then. He wrote about how white people had a higher advantage, or they had a privilege, they were privileged when it came to getting a good job, getting into the good schools, because a lot of the good schools were white-only schools. Just because of the times that were back then. Of course, it's not like that now. But, anyways, that's how privilege first started. And then, also during that time, black people couldn't vote. So, also, that's where the whole, you're privileged because you're white, because you can vote. That came into play too. But white females still couldn't vote. So, therefore, if you were a white man, then you were considered privileged. Later on, much later, actually more recent, a lady named Peggy McIntosh, who is an American feminist and an anti-racist, she wrote an article about how still, to this day, you are the most privileged if you are a white, Christian, heterosexual male. Which is true, and I'm going to expound on that in a minute. Oh, and that male is normally middle class, so just saying. Okay, so socioeconomic privilege. Basically, socioeconomic privilege, when I talk about socioeconomic privilege, you are privileged if you are in the middle or upper class. You are the most privileged. So people this is the common thought, is you're the most privileged if you're the upper class. Because in the lower class, you struggle to make ends meet. You don't make enough money to support yourself or support your family. So therefore, you are not as privileged as someone who is middle class. Because middle class don't really struggle to make ends meet. They make ends meet, but they can't really get all the extra stuff that they want. While upper class can. Which is why upper class are known to be the most privileged. Okay. Able-bodied privilege. In class, we did an activity with able-bodied privilege, and you were either blind, OCD, or in a wheelchair. During the wheelchair activity, which is the activity that I chose to do, you had to wheel yourself out of the classroom, down the hall. It's fine. I'm with my friend, and she's like having like a cough attack. But anyways, we had to wheel ourselves down the hallway of the education building down here at Georgia Southern, down to the bathroom or to get water, and we either had to wash our hands or get a sip of water and then wheel ourselves back. I found this very difficult, and I found that it was very hard, and I honestly felt bad for people who were in wheelchairs because their everyday tasks are a lot harder for people who aren't in wheelchairs. And also, okay, so that was that activity. The second part of the activity was you could also choose to be blind. And with that, you were with a partner, of course. So like your partner was like helping you, making sure you don't like knock into a wall and knock yourself out. But you were blindfolded and you walked down the hall and you had to also wash your hands or get water. And then you walked back to the starting point. So that was blind. And then OCD, you walked around to every single door and touched the door handle. But the catch to that was you had to wash your hands. You had to wash your hands between every single door handle that you touched. So yeah, that's able-bodied privilege and we learned that people who are not paralyzed, who don't have OCD, like you are more privileged than someone who has one of those disabilities. White privilege. White privilege, basically to this day in America, you are still known to be the most privileged if you are white, specifically a white male. But that's for another thing. But as a white person, most of the time you are thought of differently, you are looked at differently. You're really like, there's so much stuff that goes into being privileged as a white person. It's ridiculous. Okay, so that's white privilege. White privilege is also very kind of controversial, so I'm not really going to go into that one as much as the other ones. Christian privilege. Also, in America, if you are Christian, you are known to be more privileged than anyone else. Because, and the reason behind this is back when our pledge was written, it was written one nation under God. This was not written for the Buddhist God. It was not written for any other religion or the Islamic God. It was written about the Christian God. And to this day, you are still known to be the most privileged if you are Christian. And you can worship freely anywhere, and like no one's gonna judge you because that you're a Christian. I mean, of course, like some atheists might judge you, but you're less likely to be judged than someone who is Muslim or Buddhist. Or really, like you're less likely to be judged if you're Christian than if you're atheist too. So yeah. Gender privilege. You are known to be more privileged if you are a male. Males get paid more. Males don't have to deal with the awful pains of childbirth through what we call Mother Nature's cycle, and really just anything else. So you are known to be more privileged if you are a male. And last but not least, it is heterosexual privilege. Up until about a year ago, people who were gay or lesbian or bi, or well, bi if you were marrying someone of the same sex, could not get married. You just couldn't. Like, laws did not allow you to be married laws did not allow you to be married to someone of the same gender. But up until a year ago, that was changed. But still, you are looked at differently if you say that you are gay or lesbian or bi than if you were to say that you were straight. Just what a lot of people say. Okay, so that's that. there are a couple questions that we have to answer. So I'm going to read those and then answer them. The first question was, do you agree or disagree that there are different types of privilege? I agree that there are different types of privileges just because everyone's privileged in one way or another. Like, if you're white, you're privileged. If you're middle class, you're privileged. If you are male, you're more privileged than the female. Like, everyone's privileged in multiple types of ways. So yes, I do believe that. Have you become more aware of your own personal privileges through this class? How? I never realized how truly privileged I was because I've always been able to get married because I'm heterosexual. I am a white female. Yes, I'm female, so that makes me a little less privileged than if I were to be put up against a white male. But I am white, so that gives me more privilege. And I'm Christian. So I've got a lot of the 9 yards. Oh, and I'm also like middle class-ish, kind of, yeah. Not really by myself, but my family is. By myself. That's a whole different story, but that's because I'm in college. Yay! But, yeah, my family's middle class, though, so I am very privileged. And this class has definitely taught me to appreciate what I have, and because some people aren't as privileged as others. Do you consider yourself privileged? Well, I just kind of answered that. But, yes, I do. Because there are so many people who have less money than me, who are treated differently than I am, who, just because, like, whether they're treated differently because of their race, or because of their religion, or because of their sexuality, like, they are treated differently. There are so many people who are treated differently than me because of these things. So yes, I do consider myself privileged because I am not treated differently when I say I'm Christian. Like, people are like, oh, that's awesome. Like, what church do you go to? Like, people are all about it. But if I were to say, oh, I'm Buddhist, they're kind of just like, oh, okay. Not all people, of course, but some people. Should one feel guilty about his or her privilege? Yes or no, and why? I do not believe that one should feel guilty about their privilege because, like I said earlier, everyone is privileged in their own special way. Yes, like, I don't believe that you should think that you're better than anyone else because of your privilege. Like, I truly believe that we should help people who don't have the same privileges as us. Like, there's reasons why we have soup kitchens, and, like, everything else for these people who are underprivileged economically. There are many people working in the LGBT community to make it to where it is easier to be able to come out to your parents and tell them that you are gay or bi or anything. So, no, someone shouldn't feel guilty, but that doesn't mean that they should ignore the underprivileged. With the knowledge that you have gained from this course, in relation to privilege, how can you apply privilege to your own personal life and the lives of others? I can apply it to my own personal life by knowing that I am privileged, by knowing that there is literally nothing that can tell me that I'm not, because facts truly state that I am privileged, and I need to remember that for all of my life, so I don't feel bad about myself, because no matter what, at the end of the day, I'm going to be privileged in some way. About others, it has taught me that I don't need to ignore the way other people are, that I need to respect them, that I need to respect some people more because they are so underprivileged. But it's taught me to where I shouldn't ignore other people. Like, I should accept other people. Privilege, like, whether they're the most privileged or not. Like, I should accept other people for who they are. Because it's not something that you can gain. It's something that you're born with. It says, many of you agree that social injustice exists. How can you as a person and we as a society promote social justice? Well, as a person, I can promote social justice by treating everyone equally, by treating everyone like they are the same person, because in the end, we are all humans. Like, no one should be treated differently because of their race, or because of how much money their parents make, or because of what kind of car they drive, or because if they're gay. Like, no one should be treated differently, because that just makes others feel bad. As a society, we need to start accepting people for who they are. Plain as day, that's a fact. Like, we need to start accepting other people for who they are. Because if we do not start accepting people for who they are, social injustice will continue to exist. And social injustice is what is tearing this country apart. But, yeah. So, I encourage all of you to go and talk to your friends about privilege, to go and talk, like, just to your friends, to your family, about how privilege does exist, but that doesn't mean that we need to treat others differently. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. I may continue to do a vlog. I mean, honestly, this is kind of fun. So I might continue to do a vlog, and I'm really not as awkward on video as I thought it was, but maybe I'm just thinking that. But I hope y'all enjoy this, and yeah, like and subscribe. It's down there. So yeah, thanks guys.